good.
But maybe what you do then, actually, it's in Slovakia. It's a free kick 20 yards out. It looks like it's one for...
I'm not up for... We're talking too much about Slovakia for my liking here.
I can sense that.
Yeah.
You weren't even prepared to acknowledge it when I mentioned beforehand that the Slovakian goalkeeper was playing. But what you do is you send someone else up, and then he expects the left footer, so then he takes himself to the other side. He sort of starts subconsciously to prepare himself for that, and then you just get a good right foot free kick taker to stick it into the other department.
Who's that?
I'm not sure. That's the next part of the plan. Well, we've got 4 months, Joe. We can think about whoever that player might be.
Troy Parrott, maybe?
Jack Byrne. Jack Byrne won't probably be on the pitch, but he can send him with the right. Robbie Brady, you see if he's playing, is very left-footed.
Well, Robbie Brady is also behind Conor Heron in set pieces.
You have a big problem with Robbie Brady.
Well, I just mean if I'm watching Ireland anytime soon and Robbie Brady is taking a set piece ahead of Conor Heron, I'll run onto the pitch and just say, I think...
Did you notice
have you not seen him over the last while?
Did you notice in the game against New Zealand that Jack Byrne wasn't able to take any set pieces because Robbie Brady was on the pitch?
I saw your tweet saying it's very strange to watch Jack Byrne
not take one.
Anything.
And it was like, no, there's a slight pecking order here.
Yeah.
I'm taking these ones.
Well, I think even just as on some level, seniority and everything aside, the meritocracy that is what you do on the pitch should dictate that Conor Heron is taking free kicks, even if Robbie Brady comes over and says, "I'm back." Well, while you were away, Robbie,
stuff happened.
Yeah, I think so. I think
if he's on the pitch, he's taking them. Don't worry. I think Brady's got a job to do to get on the pitch. But 4 months away is probably a bit far off to strike a psychological blow. But you need these marginal gains.
I haven't done this in a while, Dan, so bear with me.
Okay.
Later on, we're going to talk to John Brewin because there's Manchester United yesterday away to Sheffield United to talk about, and he was watching Man City Chelsea as well. But earlier on, we had Gary Breen on, and we touched on the Everton situation, where it seems Marco Silva is for the bullet anytime now, really, and David Moyes is going in there. That seems to be what Bill Kenwright, Marcel Brands and Farhad Moshiri have decided. And we talked to Gary Breen about the Arsenal situation, which, Dan, for the first time in quite some time, I'm afraid, brings me to Arsenal Fan TV. I'm sorry.
Inevitable.
Are you done with this? I know a lot of people are just like, stop playing the Arsenal Fan TV. So we haven't done it in a long time.
They've just become like the stereotypical example of fan anger now. It's like, well, what are Arsenal Fan TV doing?
They are a byword.
Let's go to that. Conor Heron just sent in another free kick into the direction of the cowering Dubravka, who just didn't know what to do, and a Newcastle defender went and cleared it. So honestly, but let's go to the Arsenal Fan TV clip because I'm going to guess there's going to be some outrage in this.
But the reason I think it is somewhat relevant, and we touched on it with Gary, is the weekend was the first time fans in the stadium have openly been calling for Unai Emery to be removed. Generally, they've been groans and...
21 shots for Southampton is a lot. Standing. This is a team who conceded, 8-9 goals in a match recently. And now they're having a pop. Yeah.
So what we have here, lots of people can recognise the voices. So we've got DT, we've got Lee Judges, and we've got Troops.
I don't know any of these characters now.
You're lost. You're lost. And then the high point for me is there's a random fan who gets his big break. And
to be honest, has Owen Sheehan's trip to Japan superseded Arsenal Fan TV? Or was it even inspired by it in a strange way?
Owen Sheehan's stuff is unbelievably brilliant.
It's a moment in time.
This is not
contrived anger, you think?
This is just...
You're referring to their nicknames like they're part of your life.
Well, they're not though.
Troops, who are the other ones?
Off the page.
Oh, okay. Are you breaking the fourth wall there, Joe? No. You don't actually know who these people are. You didn't know this.
No, I do know. Look, sorry, I've watched my fair share.
Had someone do this work for you.
Enda got the names, but I would know their faces.
Would you?
Yeah. Yeah. I would like. I know who's speaking. There's the bald guy. There's the small guy that remember the Chelsea fan stole his hat. There's the presenter.
I've managed to. I have to admit that the Arsenal crisis doesn't do anything for me, really.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. This is just a one-time thing. But what I like here is DT and Lee Judges and Troops doing their thing, and then a random fan gets involved. And the high point here is the fan realises, shit, I'm on Arsenal Fan TV.
Okay. I want to hear this.
A lot of people are going to see this. So at the end, he goes for the grand gesture. And I think he regretted it within 10 seconds. But he goes for it. So here we go. This is the lads. And they're... well, the other interesting thing here is they are placing all the blame on the manager. They're like almost... You'll see here, the poor players. They're trying to almost protest, be terrible, to get rid of the manager. That's how they're perceiving things, which is kind of an insight. So over to DT, Lee Judges and Troops.
Do you know what? It's my son's 9th birthday today. And do you know what I done for him? I left him at home. I left him at home so I didn't ruin his birthday.
If he's still in charge going to Norwich, I'm not going. right? Because I'll tell you this now, because that shows me that this board, all this we care, show us care is a load of old crap. Because if they care about the fans and they care about Arsenal Football Club, as DC just said, he's gone. But if he's still here next game against Norwich, I'm not going to. Why should I waste my time going up there when this board are not bothered?
I was in that ground cussing hard, dog. Cussing hard. Because this is now embarrassing, dog. You understand? You're taking the piss out of us now, blood.
The players
on a different level, blood. You understand? And the players know that they know we're not angry at them because they're not playing for him now. They're on what we're on. They want him out.
They play for the fans though, because that was appalling to them.
But this is it's got this bad now. This is how bad it is, yeah. They don't want him. The only way to get this man out is for these performances, blood, and they're gonna continue with it. They're going to continue with this, blood. And I don't blame them, blood, because this man is clueless, fam.
This is my season ticket. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm out. I don't need it. I don't need it. No. Forget my season ticket, Robbie. Forget my season ticket. Forget this team. I've had enough. Get his season ticket. I've had enough. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
And he tossed it away. Now, Robbie Lyle, the presenter, realised he's going to regret that in about 18 seconds. Just get his season ticket.
Get it back. Yeah. Some grand statements there.
But I mean, he had to make an impact. He had to make an impact.
I love this belief, though, that that the players. And I understand that a manager can lose a dressing room, and that can happen. And I mean, often it can have a massive and dramatic impact on performance. But the belief that the players feel the same as the fans in such a way that this is all that's wrong. That the players are so disillusioned in the same way that the fans are. There's no way the players are feeling the same that the fans are.
It's unlikely.
Not a chance that they're feeling the same way that the fans. And they're sitting there going, I mean, life would be so much easier for us if this person wasn't here. The players would be more likely delighted that all the scrutiny is on Emery. This is absolutely brilliant.
Well, they've spun that as if now each bad performance upcoming is to do with their pained efforts to get rid of this terrible manager.
The players are trapped, but they want to make this better.
Yeah. Do you know the host? Do you know the host of Arsenal Fan TV? He was in here once or twice. Robbie Lyle. Familiar with him?
No.
Well, this is from the Sun last year when Robbie got a job on Channel 4 as well, on the back of his work with Arsenal Fan TV, which he set up in 2012. So he was a good bit ahead of the curve.
It is an impressive story that it's a thing that you hear Arsenal Fan TV and you're like, okay.
2013, he won the Football Blogging Awards for Best Male Football Blog. He was formerly a BBC reggae radio host and surveyor. He quit his job to work on the YouTube channel full-time, Arsenal Fan TV. And as you sit there scoffing, in November 2017, it was estimated that Robbie earns sterling £400,000 a year.
What a gig. What a result.
To get lads to throw their season tickets away in front of him. That's the dream.
But I remember, I think it was one of the football writers saying to me, it might be Miguel actually saying at one point that actually in terms of social media traction and comment and reaction to pieces, that Arsenal and Liverpool were the two
big ones.
The two big ones for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to wonder what that would be. Would it be a reflection of age profile of fans? That when you think of their period of success, and a lot of them getting to a certain age that they're really engaged, or I don't know what it is. I mean, it's just maybe sheer volume and spread and quantity or whatever it might be.
Well, you'd know from the paper what team gets the most traction if you put up a story online.
Yeah, I think Miguel was speaking from the perspective of probably an English audience. Yeah, I think in Ireland it'd be different. It'd be Man United and Liverpool stuff.
Yeah,
Liverpool I think is probably the top dog now. But I think, I mean, Arsenal, that's why maybe the Arsenal thing probably doesn't really register with me that much, because there hasn't been sort of I don't really have much of an interest in the whole Arsenal story. Maybe if we had a couple of young Irish lads at Arsenal or something, I'd be more engaged with it. It's a long time since we've even had an Irish player at Arsenal. But yeah, the Arsenal stories wouldn't have the same allure or appeal at all. But in England, I think Arsenal are massive. There's the London aspect as well, and they seem to. The early 2000s, they were the top dogs, so I suppose a lot of people who got into football around that time would have a certain love for Arsenal.
And they've watched the empire crumbling steadily, so maybe the anger is...
Yeah, they're getting round to describing themselves as long-suffering.
Yeah, well, they are in a way.
Well, I mean, they're not, but long enough.
We're going to take short breaks. John Brewin, we haven't talked about the Manchester clubs over the weekend. Guardiola had some interesting comments where he was talking about how Liverpool look unstoppable and was effectively giving up the ghost. And then obviously United yesterday was interesting as well. It's still 2-0 at Villa Park, 61 minutes on the clock. As we mentioned, Conor Hourihane with the first goal and set up the second for El Ghazi. So half an hour to go there and they are in control.
No cabbages thrown at Steve Bruce tonight, fortunately for him. That's what happened the last time he was Aston Villa manager. He had a cabbage thrown at him. And he's quite funny, his pre-match quotes today describing how his assistant, Stephen Clements, miscontrolled it, which made it much worse. But then he did raise the very fair point. How did someone actually get the cabbage into the stadium?
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you could just suggest that you'd just done your shopping and you're on your way home from doing the shop.
Would you not back yourself to get a cabbage into the Aviva?
If you would have been a challenge, it might be easier now. I mean, to be honest, they might have just unwrapped, they would have taken off the leaves to make sure there was no slogans about John Delaney underneath it.
Oh, that's not fair.
But you know, now, it's only a cabbage. It's absolutely fine. Cabbage with anti-FEI slogans. Now that can go.
Jack Grealish has just gone very close as well, so it's turned into a very nice evening for Aston Villa. Back in a sec with John Brewin. We're going to talk 2 Manchester clubs in a sec.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
I had to pack my life into 2 suitcases. It's not just the material things, it's the sentimental things that you leave behind as well.
To leave your home is always bad. Like, no one will force himself to move from his country place where you have his family, his home and whatever. We were forced to do that.
I'm Barry White, and all this week on News Talk, we're looking at the reality of direct provision, the system, the places, and the people. Follow us on air, on social, and on newstalk.com.
At Lexus, we have always anticipated the future, relentlessly pushing the boundaries of beautiful design and innovative technology, so you're ready for what's ahead. Introducing the new Lexus ES. Our executive saloon combines powerful, self-charging hybrid technology with an exceptional driving experience and the luxury that you expect from a Lexus. Test drive the new ES at your Lexus retailer and choose from a range of flexible payment options. Lexus. Experience amazing.
An evening with Yusuf Cat Stevens. Live at the Marquee, June 24th. Tickets from $76.25 go on sale Tuesday, November 26th at 9 a.m. Maybe subject to fees. Presented by Aiken Promotions in association with the Irish Independent.
You're probably familiar with stickers and bags coming through your letterbox asking for donations of clothing and other items. The Charities Regulator are urging those who wish to give to a charitable organisation to check the Charities Register before donating. Legitimate charitable collections should clearly state the charity's name, contact details, logo and registered charity number. You can check the Charities Register at www.charitiesregulator.ie. Supported by An Garda Síochána.
3, 2, 1, lift off!
What have you done with my OCT eye scanner? I'm supposed to be doing an eye scan with Mrs. Green.
We launched it, like you said.
I meant launch it to the public, not on a rocket. You know, by telling them how it takes a hospital-grade 3D image that could help detect eye conditions up to 4 years earlier.
Oh, sugar.
And that it's available at Specsavers.
And now also in outer space?
Introducing our most advanced eye exam with OCT scans. Search Specsavers OCT to find out more. Charge applies. OCT available at selected stores.
At Virgin Media, we believe in fair play. That's why we are freeing sport for all our TV customers. Want football as standard on your plan? Done. Sit back and enjoy all the thrilling action from the UEFA Champions League and UEFA Europa League on Virgin Media Sport. Together, we've got every kick, tackle, shot and goal. So it's the perfect time to join. See virginmedia.ie. We free sport.
During the Joe Duffy used car sales event, we have reduced the prices of our used cars by up to €3,500. With an extensive range of over 1,000 cars to choose from, we are Ireland's leading motor group.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Don't live your life on hold. Get a quote now at itsforwomen.ie and see why we're trusted by over 130,000 women in Ireland.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
Welcome back. So still 2-0 at Villa Park. We're talking about the two Manchester clubs. Now, we had Sheffield United against Manchester United yesterday. Brian Kerr and Stephen Doyle in fine form, as was Enda Stevens, actually, and David McGoldrick. We'll come to that in a second. On Saturday evening, Manchester City 2, Chelsea 1, Dan. So, Pep Guardiola, Liverpool look unstoppable. I know it's far away with these numbers. My teams always try, but we accept other teams can be better. So, if we are going to lose the Premier League, we're going to try next season. It's not the first time Manchester City in 100 years of history lose the league. It looks like if we won the last 2 Premier Leagues, we have to win 7 Premier Leagues in a row. You have to win 200 points every season. It does not work like that at a high level. Tennis players lose games. In golf, Tommy Fleetwood, he's good friends with Tommy Fleetwood, does not always win the tournament, although Tommy did win 2 weeks ago.
I knew you'd love that sort of reference to Tommy Fleetwood in the middle of that just drew your eyes straight away.
I tell you what I did like. He went and got a bit philosophical then. I think it's not a good message for society, for our kids, for our teenagers, showing them that just the winner is perfect. We are creating a depressed people, loser people. Which made me think of Alain de Botton. Are you an Alain de Botton man?
No.
Some people really don't like him. They think it's like McDonald's version of philosophy. So
Right.
it's right up my street.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're right up that's your genre.
I'm kind of interested in what he has to say about stuff. So he has this thing about the modern day affliction is status anxiety. As in, Pep Guardiola would be right all over this. We've been fed the notion that we can do anything. So you could, from any background, any area of life, you can be an astronaut and all this kind of business. And so the implication would be, if you don't achieve, you're a loser.
Yeah.
And he makes a very interesting point that back in the day, a couple of 100 years ago, not that far back in the day, but if somebody wasn't doing well in life, the nicer term for them was misfortunates or the poor unfortunates, whereas now it's loser. This is Pep Guardiola's point.
So he thinks that everyone should be slightly happier, shouldn't be too downbeat about coming second this season.
We're all just a victim of our circumstances and luck.
Right.
As opposed to you're a loser.
But he doesn't take that...
Like that we're losers, we're not losers just because Robbie is earning 400 grand a year for Arsenal's fan TV.
So when he came out and said that he was extremely proud of his players' performance a couple of weeks ago after they lost to Liverpool, he meant every bit of that, because that's actually how he felt, because he thought deep down it just wasn't ultimately that important that they won. And he actually, when he was out sort of sarcastically applauding or acknowledging the referee's decision.
I'm not going that far.
He actually thinks that the whole VAR thing really around that time was not that important, because it doesn't matter if they have the status to win in the league anyway.
No, I'm not going that far.
Right.
Yeah. I still think he wants to win.
But this was just his response to...
I thought it was an interesting point.
Chelsea.
We're creating a depressed people, loser people.
Well, that's very true, but it's like the whole thing of like status where they've got rid of is this the same theory of like getting rid of likes and people seeing your activity on social media because you're too obsessed with the reaction to it?
Status anxiety, that's the whole Alain de Botton thing.
Do you ever worry about your status, Joe?
I think everyone does. You'd be mad not to.
So the answer to that, of course, was yes. He just threw it back at me.
At this point, I'd like to bring in John Brewin. John, hello.
Hello, Joe. Hello, Dan.
Hello, John.
So that was interesting, I thought, though, from Pep Guardiola, that he feels we're creating a depressed people, loser people, and he's going to accept it if Manchester City, through various circumstances, can't quite manage to finish first this year. I think it's almost so painful for him to lose, and he gets so neurotic when they lose. I feel already he's trying to brace himself for the horror of May.
I think that's right. I think of all managers, though, aside perhaps from Jose Mourinho, the one least likely to say that losing is okay, you would have thought that would be Pep Guardiola. And this idea of status not being important, well, again, Pep Guardiola, it would seem to me, remember, this is a guy who's just had a book published about him recently, authorised. I think that's the 3rd or maybe the 4th. He's had 2 documentaries made about him, one documentary series, another documentary about his Barcelona years. But there's a guy that says you don't have to have status, it doesn't matter. Or maybe he just said that because he knows that not going to win the title. I think you're probably right, Joe. Yeah, he's trying to brace himself. Not particularly convinced by this argument. I would suggest there are mitigating circumstances for the reason City are where they are. One of them, which is curious to think this about a team that's got 198 points over 2 seasons, is that they might be just a little bit over the hill as a team.
It's starting to feel that way a little bit, and I suppose the thing about Manchester City, unlike the general principle, is that they certainly have it within their means to upgrade their status fairly readily, and he didn't do that over the summer, and I'd say internally, he's kicking himself for that, and maybe unfortunate injuries have exacerbated the problem. Against Chelsea, when they went 1-0 down, it was interesting watching the game. Didn't get this immediate sense of, oh, well, it's only a matter of time till they turn this around. Now, they did manage to turn it around, but the general air of invincibility is well worn at this stage.
Oh, I think so, yeah. And Kevin De Bruyne's equaliser owed plenty to luck, didn't it? Now, you make your own luck, don't you? But yeah, they were really struggling to get a hold of Chelsea. Chelsea had greater verve, greater speed on the ball, and at certain points in the game, it looked like they had greater belief in themselves than Manchester City. I do think, though, they scored, that's a scabby goal. The funny thing is, you look at Liverpool's 2 goals at Crystal Palace. Now, neither of those are going to go in a 101 great goals compilation, are they? But they all count. And but then again, look at Mahrez's goal, which was pretty well taken. Okay, owed a little bit to Chelsea's, let's say, callow defending. But in a funny way, that was a good win for City because they dug it out in the way that we've praised Liverpool for digging out wins. Yet, whereas you get the sunshine of Jurgen Klopp after a match like that, you get Pep Guardiola philosophising and considering his own existence, despite the fact he's won that game.
See, it must be incredibly demoralising for everybody at Manchester City, and there must be a sense of helplessness if you're Guardiola, given what Liverpool keep doing and the way they keep doing it. And the Football Writers' Awards were on this week, and Klopp got up and told a story about watching last season when Kompany scored that incredible goal from outside the area and just thinking, oh my God, how do you cope with this? And then Guardiola got up afterwards and said, when Klopp talks about that moment against Leicester last year, that's now my life. Every week at the moment, Liverpool keep doing this, and I think, oh, again. And they are caught in that kind of quagmire, and there's not much they can do about it.
No, but I think one of the truisms of football is that there's always going to be somebody that's going to be better at you at a certain point. Now, who do we consider the greats of management? Well, at the top of that list is Alex Ferguson, and the amount of times someone superseded him, Arsene Wenger to start with, then Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, and then he toppled them. And even towards the end of his time, he came up against, I suppose, the first iteration of Moneybag City, and he downed them. I suppose that's how you may measure a great manager, but you don't really have that these days. I mean, you've got Mourinho, you've got your 3 years and then explode and go, and then you've got Pep Guardiola pushing himself to the limit to the point where he can't last any longer. Jurgen Klopp's shelf life appears to be 7 years at a club, and that's coming up quicker than Liverpool fans might want to admit. But yeah, it's getting to Pep, isn't it? And
I think so. But I think he's right, by the way, John. If he believes what he's saying, and that's always hard to know sometimes, but if he genuinely believes and can find a certain comfort in the fact that Liverpool look a bit unstoppable at the moment, we've done pretty well, we can't win the league every year. Tennis players, he said, lose games. In golf, he mentioned Tommy Fleetwood doesn't always win tournaments, and he talks about how that doesn't mean we're a loser people, this notion that you're a failure or a loser. Because Fergie wasn't a loser when Mourinho came on the scene or when he was struggling with Arsenal. It just comes and goes sometimes. If Pep actually means that and believes that and takes that into next season, I think that makes him an even better manager. Now, I'm just not quite sure yet how much I believe him.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is that Alex Ferguson pretty much decided when he would go, and Pep Guardiola's doing similar, but his contract is up till 2021. So that's a fast rebuild of a team that you need to do. You need to find that replacement for Vincent Kompany that they haven't got. You maybe need to pay big bucks for Ben Chilwell, who is a player that it seems that Manchester City now regret not signing. And what you also need to do with the players you sign is pull them into the collective. Well, also, and this is one of his problems, he lost company, such a totem for the club. David Silva goes at the end of the season. Sergio Aguero is out injured now for a while, but hasn't been in great form. That's a total rebuild of a manager with a shelf life of only a further season. If Guardiola pulls off a league title next season, maybe that might register as one of the greatest achievements of his career. We'll be saying something.
It was interesting as well. I'm sure you saw the stat because it was so widely spread around. It was his first game in 380 league games, La Liga, Bundesliga, Premier League, where he didn't have at least 50% possession. To what extent you want to read into that, I don't know. But what did you make of Chelsea then, who had more than 50% of possession? This team who've done this thing to Guardiola for the first time in the league. It was a big test for them. What did you make of Frank Lampard and Chelsea and where they are at the moment?
Well, I think that they're at a crest of a wave. We'll see how they respond to a defeat there. I think maybe the greatest indication of changes that he's made in Chelsea are the performance of Kovacic and Jorginho. Now, I remember last season they were, when Chelsea fans began to rebel against Sarri's reign, they were the two players seen as essentially these one-dimensional, dull footballers. But it was Kovacic that supplied Kante's goal. Kante again. Actually, there's a player that last season everyone who supports Chelsea and so many people in the media were saying that Kante could not play further forward. Now, Frank seems to have done quite a good job in pushing him into that position. But it's, I suppose, let's think of managers that have had young teams that have gone quite far, and then it's not lasted so long. Here's an example: David O'Leary's Leeds. You know, we're probably talking 20 years ago now, aren't we?
Probably. We are.
We're familiar. We're very familiar with them.
Well, you would be, yes. But yeah, I mean, of course. But you know, there was a team that rode that crest of being young players together, and then events went against them. And actually, you think of them, that there's a group of players that their careers became slightly anti-climatic. And I suppose at Chelsea, you've got this question of how good a manager Frank Lampard might be. You've got the interests of the ownership. Now, David Conn at The Guardian wrote a piece that ran in today's Guardian about how Roman Abramovich remains as committed as ever to the club. You've got several questions there. The one thing you would say is that outside of Chelsea and actually within Chelsea fans, I think this Chelsea team is the most popular Chelsea team, I think, since probably Ruud Gullit, Sexy Football, Vialli, when they signed Desai and all that, which is, again, 20-odd years ago. Chelsea are a team to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Meanwhile, at Brammall Lane yesterday, I mean, managers complain about scoreboard journalism. I don't know if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was checking Twitter during the game, but it would have struck him, I think, the vagaries of football management. And it most decidedly went from, this guy has to go, get Poch in now, we need to be ruthless, to, well, look at this. I mean, if ever a man deserves a chance, to, by the end, yeah, I still think on balance, Poch has to come in now. It was one of those kind of days. So Rashford, Williams and Greenwood, all under the age of 22, John.
Yes, and that's...
Who scored, obviously, I'm sure people picked up on the point.
Yeah. and that's what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got going for him, and that's what, when those club briefings come out, that's what those within the club are happy about, in that idea that youth is being pushed. Sometimes I do think, though, in certain clubs, and this happened actually under Louis van Gaal 3 or 4 years ago, is that you can use young players as a sort of veil over how badly the rest of the team's going. Because, I mean, let's take the example of Phil Jones. Okay, he's been out for quite a while, but you'll rarely see as inept to 45 minutes as he turned out. That's a senior player at the club, actually, even though he is actually, believe it or not, only 27.
Just a brief, the briefest tangent on Phil Jones. How has it gone so badly wrong? I mean, obviously, I think we realised early on that the whole... was it Ferguson comparing him to Duncan Edwards? That was a stretch, and we probably did realise that early on. But I mean, the extent to which it has gone horribly, his career at the age of 27, is there any inside info on why things have gone so awry for him?
Well, I remember when, if you recall, that Phil Jones would have a run of games for United playing in several different positions, including centre midfield, and he would get injured. Now, one of the reasons for him getting injured was that he would overcommit. Now, he actually showed that at Brammall Lane yesterday. There was a sequence which they replayed on the TV 2 or 3 times when he's throwing himself into the side of a tackle that, you know, you've not really seen since the 1980s. And I remember a game, it was against Hull. It would be 5 years ago, in fact. It was when, in fact, and the reason I remember this, it was Ryan Giggs' final game as a footballer. And Phil Jones started well and then overcommitted himself and then is pretty much out of the game and then he's going to be out of the World Cup because he's overcommitted himself to a foul. And I think it's those injuries that have stopped him. And if you think about it, there's a player who, when Alex Ferguson bought him, was 19. He had 2 more years working with Alex Ferguson, a manager who made him feel that he could be an all-time great.
Yeah.
And he's a victim of having 4 or 5 different managers, who all of whom have a different use for him.
Yeah, that is interesting when you put it that way, that would it have been different? It's like a sliding doors moment. I see, John, you made him the captain of your Manchester United team of the 2010s, which I thought was a good team, but in a sort of a sort of ironic, tragic phase for the Manchester United fan. I kind of wonder would people have their own guesses on the team of the 2010s. I mean, you had Valdez in goals. It's like reading through a list of like bad texts you've sent the night before or something like this. All these names, some of them. So Valdez in goals.
Okay.
Darmian right full.
Yeah.
Maybe a slight bit harsh on Darmian to be in that company or not.
He's no good, Dan.
No, okay. Phil Jones, the captain, crucial point.
Oh.
Marcus Royo next to him. Butner at left full. I'd forgotten about Butner, I have to admit.
Doesn't live long in the memory.
Yeah. Then I assume it's a 3-man midfield of Fred is obviously there.
Yes.
Morgan Schneiderlin and Bastian Schweinsteiger. And then I'm guessing this is kind of a front 3. I'm not sure how much work some of them would do as a front 3. Di Maria, Falcao and Mkhitaryan. And then you said you forgot Alexis Sanchez, who possibly should be captain.
I think I would drop out Mkhitaryan because he did okay when they won the Europa League. But yeah, Sanchez was worse than all of them. I think he was so bad that I actually forgot that he even played for the club.
On a value for money ratio, he'd definitely be like top of that dross list, wouldn't he? Really, you know. But
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, just chatting to friends as you do. I drew up a team of a decade of actually good players, and I couldn't find a single one of them that had actually been signed post 2013. The only one I had was Marcus Rashford, who was obviously at the club before Alex Ferguson stepped down. So that just shows you the complete and utter waste of time this decade has been for Manchester United.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I would think
it's striking when you lay it all out.
Yes, but I would think most decades you could probably do a reasonable job, couldn't you? Like already, I'm feeling there's a midfield of the 2000s powered by Djemba and Cleverson that we can build something around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But they probably didn't play as many games as some of these people did.
Well, that's the thing.
Djemba,
played the League Cup games.
Yeah.
Scored a great goal against Leeds once where he miskicked the ball into the ground over the keeper's head, but celebrated like he was Pele. That was my personal favourite moment. What did you make of this game generally then?
Well, I thought for 70 minutes Sheffield United were brilliant.
Yeah.
And your friend Dave McGoldrick, fantastic. And they are, Chris Wilder. I mean, chatting to someone who knows that the lower leagues was saying that him and Alan Neil, who's assistant, aren't the most sophisticated tacticians. They have arrived in the Premier League as a bit of a surprise package. But the thing is, and okay, I don't think anyone's suggesting that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a great tactician, but no one's really found an answer to them just yet, have they?
No, and actually people say, even though Gary Neville made the point on commentary yesterday, it's interesting you say that about Wilder and his team, because what's often said about Sheffield United at the moment is everybody seems to know their jobs really well. They're certainly well drilled.
They have an identity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that counts for such a lot. And, if that game had gone against Solskjaer, I mean, I think on the back of the Mirror this morning there was a picture of 4 managers in big trouble, and Ollie would have been on that list without them. And each of those managers, who were, Marco Silva, Pellegrini, Unai Emery, and Ralph Hasenhüttl, they're all managers. And actually, there's another one to throw in there, which is the Watford manager, Quique Sanchez Flores. They're all managers who have failed to get an identity from their team.
Yeah.
That appears to be the big leap that managers appears to be having troubles with at the moment.
Yeah, Solskjaer's best effort now is youth. I mean, he's clinging on to youth a little bit and he's pushing that. What was definitely apparent yesterday, though, and will only continue, is that as soon as a wobble hits, the Pochettino thing is going to become relentless for Solskjaer, around the club. I mean, Solskjaer won't be asked about it, I wouldn't think, in press conferences. But it was just so noticeable yesterday as they were heading for a fairly terrible defeat that the Pochettino thing blew up in a way it wouldn't have if he was still working. So Solskjaer is going to have to be aware of that now. That's just an extra layer of pressure, I would think, on him.
Yeah, and it mirrored something that happened 3 years ago. In fact, probably happened 3 years ago, almost next week or something, which was as soon as Jose Mourinho was fired by Chelsea, suddenly the pressure is ratcheted on Louis van Gaal. I think they lost at Stoke on Boxing Day, and every paper on the 27th of December is running a Mourinho to Manchester United story. Now, you might say those stories were, let's say, had a source close to Jose Mourinho that might have pushed that story. And I'm not quite sure Pochettino operates in quite the same way. But speculation is going to link Pochettino to the United job until, say, he decides that he wants to go to France to manage PSG, where he played, or, and this does appear to be a reasonable link at the moment, is that he goes to Bayern Munich, who have a vacancy with old Herr Flick as the caretaker manager there. So, Ollie's situation was never completely cast down, despite Ed Woodward's repeated backings of him in those various briefings we had last month. And now he's got this Pochettino-shaped spectre holding over him the whole time.
Yeah, it's true. John, great to have you on. Thanks so much.
Cheers, Joe. Cheers, Dan.
Good to talk to you again. John Brewin there. I suppose what doesn't help Solskjaer is that it just always feels at the moment with United like it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 1 step forward, 3 more back, crisis, big trouble, then 3-4 steps forward, then 1 back. And yesterday, that game was that in a microcosm. Horrific for 72 minutes. I mean, just so bad. I know you were listening to the commentary in the car.
Yeah, it was,
For the first 70 minutes, Sheffield United were winning without having to do anything special. I'd say they were looking around at each other saying, geez, beating Man United, we just have to play okay. And then obviously you have 7 minutes of electricity where you think, wow.
Youth, energy, this is all the stuff that you want.
All that stuff.
Excitement.
And then they couldn't
because people wanted that excitement, a 3-3, but really...
Rashford, Williams, Greenwood, all below the age of 22. First time United have had 3 goal scorers, 22 or under, since...
1996, I think it is, isn't it?
Damn, check you out. Giggs, Scholes, Beckham.
Yeah.
Phil Jones, says Paul, has a reputed net worth of €19 million. Not bad for a lad whose career has gone disastrously wrong.
It's so true, though. I mean...
Well, his life hasn't gone disastrously wrong, Paul.
No.
But his footballing career, in my opinion, has. You have to remember, signed for Man United at 19, this guy was going to be England and Manchester United centre-half for the next 13 or 14 years. And now, unfortunately for him, unfairly or otherwise, but I think to a degree fairly, Phil Jones is a byword for some defensive mishap, like yesterday.
But he has been in Manchester United centre-half for 8 of them.
But has he?
Well, yeah.
No, but has he, though?
No, I know what you're saying. But I mean, let's go back to Pep.
He's played for Man United.
Maybe, is he worried about his status?
Phil Jones?
Yeah.
As in he likes playing for Man United?
Well, no, I'm just saying, he might be, whose standards is he living by here?
Well, yeah, look, again, would I swap lives with Phil Jones?
You probably would.
On balance, yes.
Yes.
€19 million, of course. Look, Phil Jones' life is amazing.
Yeah.
But in the context of what the discussion we're having, Paul, I just think it's massively disappointing. The point John makes about all the managerial changes is a good one.
No, it is a sliding doors that if he'd got a particular manager at the right time. And the flip side, you look at someone like Andy Robertson, who's a very different type of player, but he peaked at a later age, even Harry Maguire. And if they hadn't got opportunities from managers at certain times in their career, would they have got to where they are? And maybe did Phil Jones get there too early? Is he an argument for staying at Blackburn that bit longer?
I wonder.
In a sort of a weird way, that you throw yourself into Manchester United at 19, and then, well, if you struggle, you're derided. Whereas your up and down season at Blackburn is not going to.
Now, still though, even allowing for confidence being on the floor, some of the mistakes he makes and some of the lunges and some of the misjudgments, even at 19, they weren't good.
No, and it leads you to assumptions that did he get to a stage that it was just, it was comfortable. And that point about the net worth, whatever, I mean, but there is something in that argument in a way that once you get to that good first contract now at a really good club and can perform okay, just enough to stay there without being a star, then I don't know, it can be hard to maintain that drive, you would imagine. Like, he got to the top of the mountain. I mean, he worked for his entire life to get to that.
Yeah. I wonder in hindsight, was his judgment in certain scenarios always suspect? I think it was, to be honest. And Ferguson looked at him and said, well, everything else is there. The youth, the size, the speed, and we can work with this guy. But 7-8 years later, he's still making... yesterday.
Well, you look at someone like Zaha, who's left and has come... will probably get a massive move in the next 18 months.
Yeah. Well, even his goal yesterday, he started the move.
It's a terrific goal.
Such good football, powerful, balanced running, and then got himself into the box and let the ball go across his body. Just class, really class. I love how Dan pretends he doesn't really follow or have any interest in English football, bar the Irish angle. A true Gael, says Jimmy. Good man, Dan. Dan's claims to have... You're getting the textures going tonight, Dan.
Okay.
Dan's claims to have never seen Arsenal fan TV smacks of a teenager's protests that he or she, very diplomatic, has never seen any material of an adult nature, says Gav. No reply.
Is there 15 minutes of Arsenal TV around midnight?
Oh, listen.
Yeah.
Aston, sorry, in my head. Aston Villa 2, Newcastle 0. We're in added time. We're back for very final thoughts in a second.
Get in there! That's what I pay you for!
I think conceit and arrogance is part of a man's makeup. Perhaps I've got too much.
I believe in a different concept of football to Don.
We don't play in the clouds. If God wanted us to play football in the clouds, he'd have put grass there.
That might mean, aiming for utopia, and it might mean being a little bit stupid. But that is the way I am.
And if anything is going to win second division this season, it's character. And I've got it.
How do you react, though, when someone, from your playing staff comes and says, boss, I think you're doing this wrongly?
Good. Well, I ask him which way he thinks it should be done, and then we talk about it for 20 minutes, and then we decide I was right.
Oh, you are a bloody disgrace! For missing the target from there, you want bloody shooting!
We get in too much of that, and I suggest you shut up and show more football.
Off the ball on News Talk.
This Irish success story is brought to you by Guaranteed Irish.
Home to Sean O'Casey and W.B. Yates, Mountjoy Square is also home to DID Electrical's first store since 1968. Now employing 350 people in 23 stores nationwide and online at did.ie. DID continues to deliver, install and demonstrate the latest appliances and technology. Guaranteed Irish welcomes companies that are altogether better choices for our communities. So look out for it. Guaranteedirish.ie. Altogether better.
Everybody reacts differently to the shocking affordability of the Dacia Duster. The opportunist, I've heard enough, where do I sign? The skeptics, 0 deposit, too good to be true. And our competitors, shocked into silence. The Dacia Duster from just €75 per week and absolutely 0 deposit. Whatever your reaction is to Ireland's most affordable car brand, there's one waiting for you. Visit your local Dacia dealer today. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply, subject to lending criteria. See dacia.ie.
They were magic nights.
This Christmas at Golden Discs, Magic Nights, the new collection of songs from Christy Moore.
In the prison of the gift.
And Thanks for the Dance, the new album from Leonard Cohen.
So I never had
new albums from Christy Moore and Leonard Cohen. Out now at Golden Discs and goldendiscs.ie.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Oh, wow. Well. Conor Hourihane, that experience, what he's done there.
Go on, describe it, Joe.
Well, he's taken off the bench.
You're very cynical, actually. Here.
I'm not cynical.
Clearly, man has worked in TV, so you're going to tell me how this works. Go on.
Anyone who watches football knows what's going on here. So Conor Hourihane scored one, provided the other. That's a virtuoso performance, we can all agree. He's substituted with a minute to go in added time.
Big round of applause.
Round of applause. Pat in the back from the manager. And goes on to the bench. Full time happens. Conor notices the cameras over in his direction, just getting up a shot of him. So he's thinking, will I go down the tunnel here? Or might I just go out and say hi to my teammates?
He's going to applaud the fans.
He's doing it right now, and the cameras were picking up. And so Conor Hourihane strolls out of the field, high-fiving all his teammates and oblivious to the camera with him at all times. And I guarantee he's getting the full "you're the hero of the match" treatment from the camera, and good on him.
I wonder, though.
And he's thinking to himself, I wonder who's in the studio. Who's talking about me right now? Is it Roy? Is it Roy?
He's got to hug Grealish, though. I have a feeling that Grealish, I mean, is kind of hard English enough to get all the focus here.
No. They've moved swiftly onto Grealish, but they were obliged because both goals were to do with Conor.
There was a stat with a few minutes to go. It's obviously updated since, but Grealish was top of all the charts. Touches first. I think he was 85 at that stage, but was obviously moving on. Top of shots and target, top of chances created, top of everything.
Well, he's taken Hourihane's main camera slot.
Yeah,
but
cameraman's like, hang on, he's English, let's go with this guy.
But Hourihane, for Paddy Irishman, did very well there for a few minutes.
No, he did. But see, the big talking point today in the papers ahead of this game was that Grealish is apparently a bit upset that he still hasn't broken into the England squad, and that Dean Smith, the manager's had to speak to him a fair bit about it, that it's getting him down a bit. His performances have been very good.
Very good.
Grealish could get... Now, there's a danger that he ends up very much attached to one club, and does he become... I don't know, is he just very happy there? But Grealish can go to a top club and get a really big move. The question is Madison better than him?
He can go to a top country.
Well, he's already done that.
Yeah.
He ain't coming back. He can't.
He was good tonight, though. He was. He will be in the England squad very soon.
He has to be. Well, I mean, Madison, again, another Irish qualified player who can't really get in the England squad either.
Yeah.
It sort of just goes to show, I mean, he's in the squad, but he can't really get in the pitch. It just goes to show the absolute quality they have in an area where certain countries could do with it.
Aston Villa are 15th in the table. Newcastle are still one place above them. 15 points to Villa's 14 points, but that's a really good win for them this evening. We're pretty much done for tonight. Earlier on, we asked you to identify our mystery voice.
I was lucky enough to be on 3 tours and enjoyed every minute of it.
That was, of course, Ronan O'Gara. Congratulations to Jared Quinlan, who has won that €300 voucher. €300 voucher.
Oh, right, okay.
With thanks to Screwfix. Their biggest ever Black Friday sale is on Monday, 2nd of December. I don't know what he's going to buy. It's not.
What might he buy, and what would it do?
An 18 DeWalt battery free, cordless,
brushless.
Brushless. It's a piece of machinery anyway.
It'll properly work.
Tomorrow morning, OTBAM live on offtheball.com, and they'll play you the full Joe Schmidt interview, all 58 minutes worth, and OTB Sports Radio and the Go Loud app as well. Tomorrow night, Dan, you've got your feet up. We've got Damien Delaney here in studio. Man City, Spurs, Real Madrid, PSG, Juventus, Bayern, all in action, so that should be good. Tom Dunn is on the way next. Dan, thank you.
Thank you, Joe.